All right, time for another dollar dialogue. And this week we're talking to financial advisor and author Gemma Mitchell. Now, at 28, Gemma's life looked picture perfect: a good job, two kids, and a home, even an investment property. But when her marriage ended unexpectedly, her well planned future shattered, leaving her to rebuild from the ground up emotionally and financially. Gemma turned her greatest financial setback into a comeback, and now she's written The Money Reset, a part memoir, part toolkit, which is on sale in bookshops now. G'day, Gemma. Thanks for joining us on the Savings Tip Jar.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for joining us, Gemma. Looking forward to this chat. But before we get into the sort of nitty gritty of all that and what is contained in your book, do you have a savings tip for us?
I do. So my savings tip is rotate what expenses you cut. So pick another expense, a different expense every single month. So it's not about saying I'm never going to buy clothes again or I'm never going to buy takeaway again. Just pick one expense per month and cut that one out. So it's or you might choose a fortnight, whatever. So it's a little stretch. It's not about full restriction forever. And the best part is you can pick it around your social calendar.
A good one. Yeah, I'll have to try that one because it can seem overwhelming when you think, look, I really need to save. Oh, look how much I'm spending on all these things. But if you just look at one thing, go, look, maybe I'll just start with this one. Just see if I can go a whole month.
It's just a small stretch. So you might go, like, if you love online shopping or clothes shopping, you might go, right, this month, not buying anything. And you pick it on a month where you don't have events and stuff. You might go, right, we're not going to eat out or go to the pub or whatever. And you pick it on a month that you don't have anything in the social calendar. It's a lot easier if it's a short sprint and you can see the finish line.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, certainly sounds that. I might have to try that because at the moment I just feel like we're spending left, right, and center, and we just can't stop it at the moment. So, maybe start to tap the brakes a little bit, one item at a time. So now getting into this book, The Money Reset that you've written. Obviously, I touched into a bit of what had happened, what you went through, but just generally, what inspired you to write the book?
Yeah, so I've been a financial advisor. I've worked in finance for 2 decades now, and so I have always helped people with massive life shifts. And it doesn't need to be a divorce. Times where you need a money reset could be, divorce like mine. It could be retirement, biggest money reset, where we have to change the way we've always done things, question what we want and that kind of stuff. Could be just this internal awakening, like, what am I doing with my money? This isn't working. So we have these resets in our life, but mine came from my divorce. And honestly, I was so confident going into it. I was like, I've helped people for 10 plus years do this stuff, navigate it. And it was so different being in the thick of it. And I was like, right, I couldn't control how my divorce was going to land. It was, messy. So I was like, oh, what can I throw my energy into? And that was putting it in really simple steps, 12 steps, so that somebody else can do this if they can't afford a financial advisor and a money coach. And it's just about stripping it back to basics and going, right, just what's the next step I need to do? You don't need to go from 0 to 100. So that was my process that I had to go through. And I was like, this is so much more challenging when you've got the emotional side of it going on as well. It's easy for us as financial advisors to go, nah, just do this, this, and this. But when you're in the thick of it, it's really hard. So I got a much better understanding of that. And then I put it into 12 steps that cover the emotional, the physical, the practical, and the financial.
Yeah, good one, Gemma. And I know the book covers more than just divorce. It's about a whole money reset. It could be anything, as you mentioned. But just how hard was it to unravel those finances when it came time to separate? Because it's very easy to piecemeal. You add a joint bank account, you get a mortgage, you might, pay for this out of this account, and then you have an investment property, and then you have a share portfolio. How hard is it to really unravel those finances? Because you add those piecemeal over the years, but then all of a sudden it seems like you need to unravel those all at once.
Layers and layers and layers. So I have been a planner in every aspect of my life since I was a child. Love a plan, love a spreadsheet and a list. So when I made the decision to leave my marriage, I had a pretty solid plan, a very solid plan on he'll get this, these will be his expenses, I'll get this, we're both going to be fine. But of course, naive me didn't really think it would go pear-shaped and that he would have different ideas and stuff. So lawyers got involved, and the lawyers only care about percentages. So they're looking at your wealth and they're looking at a percentage. And I'm like, we have multiple properties, we've got a trust, we've got a company. You can't just go percentages because otherwise everything has to be sold. You cause these big tax. So the longer you're with someone, we were together like 18 years or something. It's so complex, right? We have all these different structures, and it was an absolute mess. I don't want to swear on the podcast, but it was an absolute mess.
Oh,
So
go for it.
you can absolutely do it, and it's not a reason to stay together, right? But it is quite the process, and the split changed quite a bit because I was like, no, well, I don't want to sell those assets, and so I'm willing to take a little less cut not to trigger capital gains and all this kind of stuff. The best thing you can do is get financial advice, no matter how simple or complex you think your situation is. You'll probably be surprised. Financial advice, legal advice, and maybe that's like a mediator, that you're both dealing with the same lawyer, and it doesn't have to be a fight, right? It can be a really productive conversation, but you need to know where you stand and what the consequences are of the assets you are willing to take and all of that kind of stuff. So I talk about it in the book. You need a village. Regardless if you're getting divorced or not, you need a village to make smart decisions, and that can help you take the emotion out of things. And yeah, your village is your friend, like certain friends, mentors, and professionals. And in the case of a divorce, it's going to be, a lawyer who's not egging you on so much, but just really looking out for your needs, and a financial advisor, money coach, whatever that looks like.
Yeah, certainly need that support network, particularly like in amongst things like a relationship breakdown. There can be lots of overwhelming feelings of grief and shame. But I guess, as you touch on in the book, these sort of feelings of grief and shame do have a role to play when it comes to money. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, so money is tied to, as much as we don't want to believe it, it's tied to our self-worth. It really, really is. It's like our safety, our security. And while money doesn't buy happiness, it buys a lot of things that make us safe, put food on the table, good health care, all this kind of stuff. So money is such a big part of our lives and our security and our self-worth. So we need to like acknowledge how our feelings towards money, our money mindset starts when we're really, really young. And so when you get into adulthood, how you feel about money impacts your decisions, whether you realize it or not. And that's regardless if you're going through a tough shift and then you've got all this emotional complexity as well. Just every day we make decisions that we don't really think too much about. Our brain shortcuts to what's going to keep this person the safest. And that might be not making a move with your money that you should be, or making a move that is detrimental to you because it was the quickest shortcut that your brain had experience with. It wasn't actually the right thing. So I talk about the book about a sleep at night test, how you can drill down on, is this right for me? Am I uncomfortable because I'm out of my experience, my comfort zone, its growth, or am I uncomfortable because I shouldn't actually be doing this? It doesn't sit right with and align with my life.
Yeah, for sure. It seems like it's one of the, or probably the biggest causes of relationship friction. I know from a former relationship, money was a huge issue, aka the spending of the money, and just the approach to money. And it is very inherent. Like you grow these money habits. You see your own parents and how they approach money. You're inclined to emulate that. I'm lucky that I'm in a partnership now that our finances and our outlook on finance is very similar. If anything, she probably whipped me a bit more into shape, which is good to see. So it does seem like it is as much of a mentality shift, aka the title of the book, The Money Reset, as it is about the actual nitty gritty of it. What I wanted to know, Gemma, it's a bit of a funny one, but I'm always very inclined to think about the very sort of like minute details of things. What's a very small, unexpectedly annoying thing in finances and divorce that no one might have thought about in your experience?
Oh, I don't know. There's so many. Absolutely. Like I think we all kind of assume the costs and things are there. I'd say on the flip side, I see people not go through separations and divorce and whatever because they go, no, it's going to be too hard, too expensive. I won't have options. So I would say there's nothing that I would put out there as should be a deterrent. I'm like, if anything, there are so many different ways that you can make it easier and simpler, and mediation, court orders, like there's all of these layers, but people default to what we see in the movies, that you both get a hotshot lawyer and you just fight it out. So while there wasn't anything that really surprised me, I'd go the opposite, that it doesn't need to be as expensive and as hard as what people think. So do not stay in relationships that don't serve you because you think that you don't have another option.
Yeah, that's good advice, Gemma. Now, just moving away from divorce a bit onto a bit of a lighter topic, we talk a bit about the cost of groceries on this podcast quite a bit, and you've written a piece recently, and we've actually published it on Savings.com.au about amidst this sort of all these cost of living stresses, and particularly around grocery costs. There's an old dish from the 80s and 90s that yourself and Harrison as well said it was a regular at your dinner tables. Apricot chicken, and you're saying that's making a bit of a comeback, and that is saying something about household spending. Can you just give us a general overview of that?
Absolutely. So I'm a millennial, was born in the 80s, so apricot chicken was a regular on the table. I think it was on rotation with like 5 other dishes: tuna mornay, deviled sausages, just ham steaks, like this kind of stuff. We had like 5 meals, and they were, if you look at the ingredients, there's, like 4 or 5 ingredients in them. It's stuff that can be in the back of the cupboard for months, doesn't need a lot of fresh stuff other than the protein. And they're just quick and easy, and you can substitute them out. So this was very 80s, and it's very, very common. I'm so surprised you haven't actually had it. But being a millennial, I'm on Instagram, and the reels are coming up and influencers are going, how can you make apricot chicken? I'm seeing it everywhere. And I'm like, this is a sign of our household groceries going through the roof. Like, we're moving away from, well, every night we want a fresh salmon this and and like fresh vegetables and stuff that goes in and out of season. We're going with what can we get all year round that we freeze as well, that we can have stuff in the cupboard. Because I work like as a financial advisor and money coach. When we go through people's spending, it is always, I'm going to say always, the groceries that they're overspending in. And it might be $20 here, 10 here, but it adds up, especially if you have your groceries money coming out of where, say, you're setting money aside for your bills, your rego, your rate stuff. If you've got paying for groceries out of that and it's going over budget by $10, $20, you don't notice it at the time. You're just like, oh, well. And then you go to pay your rates and there's not enough money in that account you were setting aside for. So that's where I see most people kind of not managing things well. But yeah, these kind of cheaper staples are coming back. And I'm seeing it everywhere. It's haunting me now, and it was haunting me in the 80s when I had to eat it every week.
God, I haven't thought about apricot chicken in probably at least 15 years, probably more, 20 years.
I'm thinking I'm going to make it. Like, my taste buds as an adult are probably totally different, and my kids probably need to know what I went through. So I think I'm going to make it.
It's funny how we have this shared sort of this shared roster of like quick and easy dinners. For me, yeah, it was stir fry, as I was saying off air. Like apricot chicken was a big one as well. Yeah, tuna mornay as well. Tuna bake was actually a bit of a highlight. My mum used to make the devil's sausages, but then she'd make this side thing where you weren't really sure what you're going to get. She would splice up some apples and a potato at the same time, so you wouldn't know until it was in your mouth, and you'd be like, "Oh my god, what the hell is that?" It's apple.
That's when. Well, I was on the ABC the other day talking about this, and somebody rang up and said they used to have surprise chicken, and they went through the recipe, and the surprise is there's no chicken in it. It's just whatever was in the cupboard.
Well, I can't wait to read this article on our website, Gemma, and I'll try and read your book as well, The Great Money Reset. It's in stores now at all good book publishers. Gemma Mitchell, thanks so much for your time on the Savings Tip Jar podcast. Really appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me, guys.
Cool. Thanks, Gemma.